Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Dogging All Dogs founder says XRP can help a lot of people retire. Okay guys, let's get into it. Okay, so this is obviously a big conversation that a lot of people are talking about, and I get it. Obviously we're invested in XRP and crypto, and that's the dream, right? A lot of people are hoping that crypto can be something that can really help change their lives in a very meaningful way. And so for me, when I think about this, do I think XRP can help a lot of people retire? I do, but I do think it's going to come down to three things. And that's the thing that I think we need to get into here when we are discussing this type of subject. So the three things, I'm going to go through them one by one and explain what I mean. So the first thing I'll say is, how much XRP do you have, right? So this is the thing for a lot of people. It depends how much XRP you have as to whether it's going to be able to retire you. I think for people who've got 200 XRP, the likelihood of those people being able to retire, very unlikely, right? Or if so, we'll get into the other factor that would affect this. This is going to play a part in it. So yeah, like for people who, for example, these whales, there could be whales who've got $1 million worth of XRP right now, and it could be that for them, all they need to do is, let it go up X amount of percent, and then they've made $3 million or something like that. There's people who've got more money invested than others, or it could be people who've got for example, $10,000 invested. Some people could have $40,000 invested. So again, the person who's got $40,000, for them it's going to be a lot easier than the person with $10,000 worth invested, because they've got more money going in, so the returns will be higher. So it is going to come down to how much you've actually got invested to whether this is really going to put you in a position to be able to retire. I don't think everybody who just holds XRP will be in a position to retire from XRP. I think it is going to come down to a certain amount. Now, I can't tell you what that certain amount is because I don't know how high XRP is going to go. So I can't give you a set value amount of how much you need, but I'm just saying that I do think that's going to play a part in it. So two, what's the next thing that I think that's going to play a part in it? So kind of with one as well, right? It ties in with that. How long are you willing to wait? And I think this is a very big one, right? Because for example, there's a lot of people who are feeling they want this bull run to be the bull run where they just retire and that's it. And I think to me, that's a bit short-minded to be thinking like that, because, I'm not saying that I don't think XRP can't go higher up in value if we are still in a bull run, which I don't know for sure at this point. But if we are still in a bull run and we are going to get that all season rally, again, how high do you think is going to get this cycle? And again, going back to the original point, how much do you have invested? Because again, if you've got 200 XRP invested, to me, I do not think within this bull run, if it's going to happen this alt season, I don't think it's going to go high enough to anywhere near where you feel like you could retire off of 200 XRP, right? I think, if you're talking way more long term, now, I do believe it's possible that XRP could get to 3 digits. Now, I don't know how long that could take, and I don't know if that's going to happen for sure. Let me just be clear on that. But I think that's possible. So if we're talking getting to a point of that happening where XRP is triple digits, well then, that's where you can start looking at even some of the smaller numbers of XRP still making you a lot of money. But how long could that take, right? It could be that you have to wait 5 years, 10 years, 15 years maybe to get those kind of price numbers. So this is where you have got to bear this into account as well, because I think this is where a lot of people might fall with this. If, for example, within 2 years, XRP hasn't gone to a high enough price, they'll just look at it as, it was a failure. And it's well, what is the price? Because if, let's just say, for example, XRP is not $1,000, let's just say for argument's sake, but let's just say $50, $60, that to me, from a realistic perspective, because that's a realistic type of price number that XRP could be within that time frame, that to me would be great. That's an amazing price for XRP if you could get that within the next 2 years, for example. So again, if you, for example, wait a year and say, well, that's just not good enough for me, and at the time XRP is let's say $15, and you're saying, well, I need it to be 1,000 for how much XRP I have. Well, you'd have been waiting a long time for that to happen, in my opinion. So at the end of the day, I don't think that stuff's going to happen anyway. So I just feel like I'm looking at it from the more grounded kind of perspective of numbers. And so, the time frame is going to play a part. Like, you have got to be willing to say that even if you sell at that time, well, maybe you wasn't willing to have the mindset of, I'll wait as long as it takes for me to get that life-changing wealth, right? You're thinking, well, if it doesn't happen by this date, then as far as I'm concerned, it's a failure. Well, that's your perspective, right? If that's how you feel, that's fair enough, but that doesn't mean that's necessarily the case. So, the third thing as to whether, this is going to help people retire is, are you actually going to be able to pull off the opportunity to acquire the wealth, right? And so what I mean by that is, are you going to be able to sell in time? Like, are you going to, for example, get greedy, seeing the price going up, thinking this is going to continue to go up, waiting because you're waiting for that right price point, and then eventually you miss your chance, the market's peaked, and then it's going back down into a bear market until you've missed that opportunity. So that's another big one, because you might have enough XRP to retire you, but you might be like, I've got enough to retire me, but if it goes up another $1, $2, $3, whatever, it's going to give me this much more money. So maybe I'll just hold on to get that little bit extra more. And you're there keeping it going, keep getting caught up and keep running it up, like hoping it's going to go further. And, eventually it hits its peak and it's like you didn't sell in time. So now you've missed that opportunity and you've gone into a bear market. So this is another thing that you have to consider, right? So I think with all these three factors, like, yes, it has got the opportunity to retire people, but there are these things that you have to consider as to whether that is a probability or not. And that's the thing. And I think the third one is probably the scariest part of it, because you might literally have it within your grasp. You might be looking at numbers on your cold storage wallet and thinking like, this XRP that I have right now could literally retire me. But if I hold on for that a little bit longer, I could get more. And it could be that greed, or it could be fear, right? It could be that you're holding, some news comes out, and let's just say the news wasn't that bad, really, but it does spook the market. You get scared and think, I'm going to lose my money. I want to try and at least salvage something. So you just panic sell. But then if you waited 4 months or something like that, you'll see that the price rebounded and went on to new all-time highs or something like that. So you have got to remember to bear these things in mind, because these are things that could spoil that opportunity for you. So it's not as easy as saying it's just going to retire people. It's like there's things involved as to whether that's going to be possible or whether it's going to occur or not. But the possibility is there. And that's the one thing that I will say with crypto. Obviously, I don't know how much you're going to need XRP, so I couldn't tell you because I don't know where the price is going to go. But again, as I've always said, if you're in the right assets, I think you stand to really greatly benefit from that. I really do, because I do think overall, the price is going to appreciate. You are going to be in a position to potentially retire, but whether you'll be able to grab that with both hands and seize that opportunity, I don't know. That's on to each person, each individual. But the opportunity is there, and that's the main thing, in my opinion. I think that's what everybody wants, is the opportunity. So again, can't give you no time frames, can't give you no exact price amount of what you need or what it's going to go to, because I don't have that information. I don't know, but I think the opportunity is there, and there's not really anything in this day and age where you could have a better opportunity than crypto, in my opinion. I suppose you got AI, so maybe AI stocks and stuff like that, but there's also AI cryptos. But other than that, I think, crypto is where you've got this chance to really, really make big money. So I wish you guys the best of luck. And if you are in a position where you hold XRP, I really do hope you do get the chance to retire, off of the back of it, because I wish everyone success, because that's what we're here for at the end of the day. Better in our lives, better in our families' lives, or people around our circles' lives, that kind of thing. That's what it's all about. So I wish you guys the best of luck, but I do think this is possible if we bear those three things in mind. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And hit that bell. Take care.